Jennifer Linden. She's the producer of Toronto Alice, and I'm going to ask her a few questions. When and why did you start to animate?
I started to animate simply, I think, out of a desire to see what I could make drawing do. I had worked as a fine artist for about 20 years, and I looked at animation as an expansion of what I could make line and drawing do in terms of telling a story and a narrative. I find now that's got me sort of really fascinated. I find I don't quite get the same thrill out of a static image as I do now out of a moving one.
Why did you choose Alice?
Well, it started off just simply because I was reading both Alice books to my two young sons. And I came across that particular passage. I wasn't as familiar with the second Alice book. And it stood out to me as a kind of just the usual bit of Lewis Carroll absurdity, really. But I just thought it would be a fun little thing to kind of play around with and reimagine it because Alice is so universal and can be fairly easily transported to different places, potentially different cultures or different time periods. I thought it would be fun to imagine, take the same language of Lewis Carroll, but then imagine it in a contemporary setting like Toronto.
Why did you choose this particular scene of Alice in Wonderland?
It's the kind of conversations I remember having as a teen or 20 something, these kind of existential questions about reality and all that. And I think it's playful, but at the same time, there's a kind of bittersweetness to it, right? And I think I like that. I like that simultaneously you can be in a space that's kind of, it's kind of cute, it's kind of sweet, but at the same time, there's a sadness to the film in the end. I think we always want Alice to be, and just the idea, and of course, in the book itself, that particular passage is a bit ironic because in both stories, she actually is dreaming Wonderland. It's not left ambivalent at all. Both of her excursions into Wonderland are as a result of a dream. Ambiguous. So in this passage, she's sort of having a dream about having a dream that she's not real. It's that whole kind of going down the rabbit hole. I also in this film like that moment where the puppet Alice wipes away the tear that I made out of, they're actually droplets of glue, and looks at it, and it's at that moment the puppet realizes it's not real either. So I don't know. There's a lot of different layers, I guess, to it potentially.
And what was the intention? Like, what did you want us, the people who watch your film, to think about your film?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think on the surface, it's still relatively simple. I mean, I look at it in some ways as a film that's it's kind of sweet, but it's also a little bit lonely too because she's also in a city that I mean Toronto's a big city and it's quite bustling, but there's also not a lot of people in the film. Like there's a stillness to it, and I don't know. Maybe if anything to take away from it, it might be more of a mood than anything, and it's that mood of something that's simultaneously sweet and pleasant and maybe playful and a bit absurd, but then has this undercurrent of a kind of bittersweetness. And I think maybe that's it. It's less of a intellectual thing and more of an emotional thing.
Okay, I really enjoyed your film, and thanks so much that you take your time.
Right. Thank you very much.